Hi everybody, it's Adam Bushnell, the author. Thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel once again. We are on day number 14, I think it is, of our live storytelling. We are still on lockdown. I hope you're all hanging on in there, and thank you so much for joining me. Got some incredible work to share with you. I genuinely think that after last week's story, this is the best work I've been sent so far. This is amazing. The first piece of work that I'd like to share with you is a poem that has been written by Rebecca Gracewell. And Rebecca has written a poem that is called When the World Turned Upside Down. Is there anything more relevant than this at the moment? This is amazing. I'm going to read this to you. When the world turned upside down. The ice-cold sun bringing darkness, astronauts flying to the sun, the devil lava moon shining in night while stars are escaping the night, baby pink cats jumping from side to side, dark blue dogs slithering like snakes on their way to school. When the world turned upside down, by Rebecca Gracewell. How good is that? It's awesome, isn't it? I love it. Next, we have here, my goodness me, this is by Jacob, who is age 7 from Peterlee, and he has created his own mega beast. I love it. A little bit like the Minotaur, but this has got a bull's head, same as the Minotaur, but with laser eyes. A human body, but with fire hands. It sleeps in a cave. It is deadly. It gets very, very tired easily, and its only fear is heroes, just like the people who are watching this video. Heroes like you people. Now next, I am blown away by this. I've been sent by Ross Johnson an animation, a Lego animation retelling the story of Theseus and the Minotaur. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. That's how it starts. It's all been animated by Ross all by himself, and it's a retelling of Theseus and the Minotaur in Lego. How amazing was that? Don't know if you saw the ending where Theseus' dad jumped off the mountain, and it just even the way that he's made the Minotaur out of Lego, incredible. My socks have been completely blown away. I am that impressed. Awesome job. Well done to you, Ross. Now next, James from Barnard Castle. He has created a model of Jet the Tortoise, which is pretty cool. Love that. And he's also created not one, but 2 wheels, like the Lambton worm. There it is, wrapped around a hill. There's one of them. And here's another one as well. Can you see its wings? I love that. Well done to you. Now, moving on. My goodness me, my job is in jeopardy because Nina Parlett, you are the next big children's author, adult author. You could be a poet, you could be a play script writer, you could do anything you want because you are writing far better than I ever could, definitely at your age. This is amazing. Now, what Nina sent me is Odysseus Adventures, and this was chapter 2 that I was sent, called The Isle of Scalamedes. I can't read all of it because it's just so huge, but I picked out my favorite bit to share with you. See what you think of this. The creatures were on their hind legs, repeating a strange word under their breath. All eyes were targeted on Odysseus and his crew, apart from the fact that they could barely see Perimedes and Eurylochus because they were so far off. These beasts were even more beastly than the unicorns, and that's pretty hard to beat. On rubbery, twitching eye stalks, their eyes were blazing, bloodshot red, but some of them had no eyes at all. Their poisonous crinkled skin flapped in the wind, pink fizzy ooze trickling down what was left of their hideous rotting faces. Their mouths hung open as if they had rusted hinges. As their mouths started to drool, their chant became quite clear. Bah, rains. Can you guess what they are? I bet you can. The clue was bah, rains. Put it on the live chat if you can guess what these creatures were. Chapter 3 is coming up, and that's going to be called The Water Beast, which is coming soon. Get that to me, please, Nina, because this is amazing writing. I am so impressed. You are definitely going to do something with writing in the future. Anybody guess what those creatures were? Hi to those people who are saying hi to me, by the way. Okay. Oh, hang on. Monster sheep. Yes, they are. And not just monster sheep, but zombie sheep, which is why they're after people's brains. Next, where'd you go from there? Well, we need something else gruesome. That's a picture of Belle the dog. That's Belle the dog. That's Belle the dog. That's my dinner. Here we go. This is a manimal called Guinea Pig Man, which is by Adam Wilkie, who is age 8 from Shield Row. Can you make that out? They're inspired by Rosie and Nibbles, his 2 guinea pigs. It's got laser guns. He's got a 6-pack. He's 10 feet tall. What an amazing creature that is. Well done to you. And then Belle the dog, Belle the dog, Belle the dog. My fence that I've just painted. Belle the dog. Here we go. Now, this is by Rudy Howe, who is 4.5 from Barmore Primary School. He's got here Moose Man, who is called Charles. And he's done some writing to go with it. A story, no less. It goes, one day Charles was playing when a wolf came along. But the wolf was friendly. Phew! You had us going there, Rudy. Fantastic job. Well done to you. And finally, we have here our last one, which is by Finley, and he's made a manimal. This is Elo Man, which is part elephant, part man. It seeks out humans. Oh, sorry, it speaks humans. It eats bark and it lives in a cave. How awesome is that? Awesome job. Fantastic. Well done to you, Finley. Told you there was some pretty awesome quality this week. The poetry, the animation, the writing, the pictures. Absolutely love it. Well done to you. I'll get rid of the iPad because the story I have for you today is a very old story. And it is taken from a book of Brothers Grimm stories. Now, the Brothers Grimm were brothers who were storytellers who travelled around Germany collecting stories wherever they went. So even though they wrote them down, they didn't just make these stories up. These stories were told for centuries and centuries in various different forms. And I've tried to find one that I thought you might like. And I have managed to find one that contains an evil unicorn. I thought you might quite like that. Anyway, the story title is Herr Fix It Up, meaning Mr. Fix It Up. So his name was Mr. Fix It Up. I don't think I like that name. No, let's get rid of it. Let's call him Bob. Okay, so Bob was a soldier, and Bob was returning back from a battle. He was walking along the road, returning to his peaceful, calm village. But after seeing war, Bob decided that he no longer wanted to live in a peaceful, calm village. He wanted adventure. He wanted more things where he could be heroic at. So he decided to march to the palace of the king that lived in the distance. When he got to the palace door, he hammered. 2 guards opened the door and said, "Yes." He said, "I insist on seeing His Majesty the King, because I am an adventurer. I am a soldier, and I want to be sent on a quest." The guards looked at each other, shrugged and said, "Okay," and took him straight to the throne room. When Bob got to the throne room, he said, "My name is Bob, and I am the greatest hero that you will ever meet, and send me on a quest. Let me prove myself." Well, the king sat there and rubbed his chin thoughtfully and said, "I'll tell you what. I have a son, and this son of mine, it's about time he got married to a princess. Go to the other kingdom on the far side of this land and ask that king there if his daughter will marry my son. We shall join our 2 kingdoms together." Well, Bob thought this was a marvellous idea. He said, "All I need is a horse from the stable and I shall be on my way." And so Bob was given the horse. He jumped upon the horse's back. He galloped off across the land. He travelled and he travelled for many, many miles. It was a long journey. It took them days and days. But eventually, in the distance, they could see the castle that they were aiming for. And they began to travel through a forest, Bob and the horse. And as they were travelling there, they met a group of hunters. And these hunters had bows and arrows and were hunting for birds in the trees. And as Bob got closer, he saw there was a beautiful bluebird sitting in a tree, minding its own business, singing its beautiful song. The hunters pulled back their bows, and just as they were about to let fly with their arrows, Bob went over to them and said, "Hello!" And he sneezed the loudest sneeze. The bird turned and flapped away quickly. Well, the hunters turned round and said, "What'd you do that for? We were just about to catch that bird up in that tree." And Bob said, "Sorry about that. It's hay fever. It's that time of year, isn't it?" He had saved the bird, and off Bob went a little bit further. Eventually, he came out of that forest and he came up to a pond, but the pond was all sludge and dirt. And sticking its head out of the sludgy water was a fish who was saying, "Help me, help me. I will die unless I get given fresh water. This sludgy swamp is disgusting. Please find me somewhere to live." And so Bob slipped down from the saddle. He walked over to the fish and he pulled him free from the sludgy water, and he carefully carried him. He leapt back up onto the horse and he galloped as fast as he could. They raced along until they came to a river. And as soon as they got to the fast-moving water, Bob placed the fish into the water and it quickly darted away. Bob was happy that he'd saved the fish and he'd saved the bird, and he climbed onto his horse's back and he carried on a little bit further. And just before they came to some bracken, a sort of heathery wasteland, he could see that the castle was drawing even closer, but on this wasteland was a whole flock of ravens. The ravens didn't and didn't flap their wings and move around. Instead, they laid upon the ground, holding onto their tummies with their feathers, and they were groaning and moaning that they were hungry, they were starving, and they needed food. So Bob slipped down from his horse. He stepped to one side and he said, "You can eat my horse if you want there, ravens. I'm just about at my destination anyway." The horse looked at Bob. Bob looked at the horse and said, "Sorry." Well, the ravens didn't need asking twice. The ravens opened their beaks, flapped their wings, and they ate the horse up. Bob then carried on walking until he arrived at this new castle. And when he got there, he was met by guards like he was at the one before. And he said, "My name is Bob, and I've been sent from our neighbouring kingdom to speak to your king. Can I have an audience with His Majesty, please?" The guards shrugged and nodded and brought Bob into the throne room. The king sat. Now, this king had a very long beard that stretched all the way down to his knees. And he was stroking this beard thoughtfully as Bob approached. He said, "My name is Bob, Bob the Brave, and I am the champion from the neighbouring kingdom. That king has sent me to ask you if I can take back your daughter, and perhaps she will marry the prince, and the two kingdoms can join together as one." "You wish for me to give you my daughter?" "Many people have come to this place and asking the same thing. But I will say to you the same as I said to them." I get confused. It's my beard. It's distracting, you see. "I will say to you the same as I say to them. I'm going to give you 3 tasks to do. 3 things. And if you can complete them, then you can take my daughter. And she will choose whether she wants to marry this prince or not. If you don't complete the tasks, then you will become my servant instead. Agreed?" Bob said, "Agreed. What's the first task?" "There's a field at the back of my castle there, and poppies grow there. I would like you to collect me 100,000 poppy seeds. Exactly 100,000. Not one more, not one less. And I want them brought to the throne room to be counted." Well, Bob said, "All I'll need is a great white sheet. Can I have that at least, please, to help me?" "Agreed," said the king as he rubbed his beard. Bob was given the sheet. Bob went out to the poppy field. He flapped the sheet down and said, "Right, 100,000 poppy seeds. Here we go." All of a sudden, the bluebird from earlier on that he'd saved from the hunters fluttered down onto the sheet and looked up and said, You saved me. Thank you so much. What are you doing out here? I went to thank you, but you galloped away too quickly. Bob said, I've got to collect 100,000 poppy seeds and take them into the castle. Is this something you can help with? Of course it is, said the bird. And with a tweet-to-woo, he sent out a tweet to call all of his friends to come and help out with the task. And that's exactly what they did. All of those birds, they fluttered over the field and they dropped seed after seed after seed after seed after seed, 100,000 of them. Bob then tied up the great bundle, and taking extra special care that he didn't drop even one seed, he carried it to the throne room and called out a thank you over his shoulder to the flock of blue birds. He untied the sheet. He opened it up. The king's guards and servants and cooks and maids and butler all got to work straight away. They made up piles of the poppy seeds in their thousands, and sure enough, it was discovered exactly 100,000 poppy seeds had been gathered. The king just sat rubbing his beard thoughtfully. Well done, you've completed task number 1. Task number 2. My daughter lost a ring in the river recently. Perhaps you could go and fetch it. Well, Bob shrugged and he went straight off to the river, and as he got to the riverbank, the fish popped his head up and said, Hello, this river's amazing. Thank you so much for putting me here. I was definitely dead back in that pond. Bob said, I don't suppose there's a ring below the surface of the water anywhere, is there? A golden one, I believe it is. The fish said, I'll go and look. See you later. And off the fish went. But he returned moments later with the ring in his mouth and said, There you go. Bob took the ring and said, Thank you. He hurried back to the throne room and said, Is this your daughter's ring? The king was starting to rub his beard a little bit more roughly and said, Very well. There is a unicorn in the forest beyond here, a very evil unicorn. It keeps eating people. Bring me its head. Well, Bob set off and he went into the forest. It was a dark, spooky place. The trees were gnarled and twisted. The branches were like the claws of savage beasts all around. Bob stepped inside and he heard, "Grah, grah, grah." He looked up to see the flock of ravens that he'd fed his horse to earlier, sitting in the trees. "We went to thank you, but you'd already gone. That horse was delicious. Can we help you with anything?" Bob said, "Is there a unicorn that lives in this forest?" The ravens said, Yeah, there is. "Well, I've got to chop off its head, and I've been given a sword, but nothing more. Can you help me?" "Of course we can. We know what to do." The ravens flew off. Now, the unicorn was sleeping because it slept during the day and hunted at night. And while it was sleeping and snoring, two of the ravens went either sides of its ears. Those two ravens then shrieked loudly. The unicorn woke up. The rest of the ravens pecked out the unicorn's eyes. Ugh. So that when Bob came face to face with the unicorn was blind. Bob shouted, "Over here!" The unicorn charged at him, but Bob just took a step out of the way, and the unicorn got his horn stuck in a tree. He then sliced off the unicorn's head, collected it, and carried it to the castle of the king. But first of all, he called over his shoulder a thank you to the ravens. The head of the unicorn was handed to the king. "That's disgusting. Dispose of it." "Very well, you've completed those tasks, but as I said, my daughter must choose whether she wants to marry this prince." "Fair enough," said Bob. And so Bob was given the princess and was also given a horse to ride, and the two of them galloped back to the first kingdom. And when they got there, the prince eagerly waited to see this princess. He was rubbing his hands and he was stepping from side to side. He was a little bit nervous. The princess took one look at him and smiled and said, "Hello." And the prince said, "Hello yourself." And she said, "I've heard you want to get married." And he said, "I do." And she said, "Well, I do too." And that was that. The two kingdoms were joined together. And Bob was made the richest man in the whole of both kingdoms, where I believe it's said that he lived happily ever after. As I mentioned, that was a Brothers Grimm story. And this is my favourite edition of those Brothers Grimm tales. This is the very first edition of the Brothers Grimm stories, and they are all pretty gruesome, and they're the ones I like. Would you like to see the illustration of the unicorn with his head chopped off? Look away if you don't like scary things. What do you think of that? It's pretty gruesome, isn't it? I love it, love it, love it. And actually, I saw Bob this morning. From a socially distance, he went back to that kingdom and fetched the unicorn head so that you could see it. He left it 2 meters away from my house, and once he'd gone, I collected it. And some of you might have noticed that it was sitting next to me. There it is. Is that how you imagined the evil unicorn's head to look? Not sure if I did. I'd imagine it to have more zombie-like features. Zombie sheep! Nina Partlet, what do you think? Brains. Is that how you imagined your zombie sheep to look? Anyway, that could be our activity for this week. Maybe you could design what a zombie animal might look like, or send me your evil unicorns. In fact, on Liz Million's channel, there is a video of how to draw a unicorn. You could follow that video step by step by step, and then you could beastify the unicorn and send me your evil unicorns. And to celebrate, I shall tell this book here on Thursday, which is called The Evil Unicorn of Doom. Does that sound okay? We'll have a bit of an evil unicorn theme to this week's live storytelling. I hope you enjoyed that. I do have a few shout outs for you. Some interesting ones again. They are getting weirder and weirder, but I kind of like that, so it's all good. First of all, not a weird one, but to Edward and Sam, who are from Crawcrook. Hello to you. I hope you've been watching today. Lucy and the guinea pigs, still tuning in. Stay awesome, Lucy. I hope to see you soon. To all of the staff and the children of Bose Hutchinson C of E Primary School, and also to the staff and children of Cotherston Primary School. Hello, my friends. Hopefully I'll get to see you after this lockdown. To Ruben and Erin from Durham. Stay awesome, you two, and give your dad a great big hug from me, please. I hope he's not scared by hearing that. Next, to Disappearing Dan. Where did he go? Oh, and a special one here. A happy birthday to Mrs. Stevenson from Chesty Street C of E Primary School. And if you're there at Chesty Street C of E today, I want to make sure you sing happy birthday to her after this broadcast. Hello to all of you at Chesty Street C of E. I hope to see you all again soon. And Mrs. Stevenson, the Murphys are missing you loads, and I can't wait to see you. Next, to my friends at Westbourne Primary School in Bradford, stay awesome. I will be back to see you in the new year. Hello to everybody at Easington Colliery. It feels like such a long time since I've seen you, but I hope to see you again soon. To Monk Seaton Middle School, thank you for the retweets. I really appreciate that, and sharing this YouTube channel in as many places as you can. Same to Heselden Primary School. A great big hello to all of you guys, and thank you again to Heselden for retweeting. Anyway, in the meantime, get over to Liz Million's channel, look at how to draw a unicorn, and then give it a bit of a gruesome side and send it to me. I'd love to see it, and I'll show as many as I can on Thursday. Remember, you can get in touch from my website, but also through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all under Author Adam, or through adambushnell.co.uk. Send me your messages, send me your writing, send me your pictures, send me your models. I love to hear all of them. Also, another thing, Quests in Epica, the next chapter will be uploaded tomorrow on the YouTube channel, so make sure you're tuning into that. Quests of Epica, the whole book will eventually be uploaded within the next 2 weeks' time. Storytelling Live, day 15, will be taking place on this channel on Thursday at 2:30. Don't forget to tell your friends and family, and don't forget to like and subscribe and share with as many different people as you possibly can. In the meantime, I shall leave you with the evil unicorn, and I shall end this broadcast. Bye for now, everybody. Bye.